Uh, Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So I guess this is for anyone who will listen. I think I speak for all of us when I say that he was a good person. Always looked after his friends, took care of them, you know. He really put everyone else before himself. But I know that took a toll on his health. I mean, when you try to be there for everyone, you don't have a shoulder to cry on. Everyone always assumes that you're okay, that you're stable and strong, because how could someone who's hurting possibly have the strength to lift others above the water and let themselves sink deeper into the pain? And I know that's how he felt. You could see it in his eyes. But if you asked him, he would always say that he was fine. He'd make you believe it too. God, he was a great actor. He struggled in silence for so long. There wasn't a moment that he would admit that he was breaking. He deserves so much just for the facade he tried to keep. But no person should have to go through that. No one deserves to hold everything in until broken pieces held together by a hope for a future that will never be. A deep-rooted innocence that everything will be okay if you just give it enough time, because time is the ultimate healer, right? People always say that, but what if you can't wait long enough to reach the light at the end of the tunnel? What if there's no light in the first place? A grim existence shrouded in darkness because sometimes it's too hard to ask for help. Sometimes it's too hard to even admit you need help. Then you get left suffering alone. The truth is, he's the only person who was ever there for me. There's been so much hardship and pain, and he saw it all. Any crack, any break, and he would be there. And he would tell me that it would be okay. And he would tell me that I would be okay, and that I would make it through the same bad thoughts for the 100th time. He didn't deserve my problems. He was so good. And he had to be, or act, so strong to take on his own problems and mine. Like when Mom and Dad split and he was only 7, he didn't know how to cope. And he didn't. He let it get to him sometimes, but refused to talk about it. It had to affect him though. I mean, how else could he be so empathetic? Everything we went through from being a kid until, well, now, he was there, and he took on what he knew I couldn't go through on my own. Sometimes just being alive can seem like a monumental task. Sometimes there's 3 holes in the drywall now because fists start flying when emotions get too strong to conceal. Hold it all in until it all comes lashing out in its full pent-up hostility. When it's 3 a.m. and there's no reason to be awake, but no reason to sleep. When things start to pile up and breathing seems like more of a hassle than it's actually worth. When pain is the only way to feel at all. When the pillow is soaked and eyes are dry because nothing more will come out. But that's only sometimes. Other times it feels like nothing, and that's okay too. It's these times that show us who we are. When the veil is torn and sunlight can finally warm the cold soul it falls upon. These are the days that don't happen enough. The high that drops you into the darkest low and leaves you begging for it to come back. Days where being alone in your mind feels okay. Days failure isn't inevitable. Days where breathing doesn't feel like a cry for help. I could lie and say that I'm okay. I could lie. It's easier to say that than it is to actually face the fact that I'm not okay. I have to be honest. There were times that he really thought that this was the only way out. That being gone was the only way to finally be free. It was always in the back of his mind. I never thought. But what choice did he have? He had nowhere to go, no one to turn to, having to leave just for thinking differently. He never told anyone about that. Why didn't I say anything? Maybe if someone would have just talked to me. No one can go through life alone. It doesn't matter how strong, it's just not possible. I've tried to hold it together for so long, but where do you find the strength to fight when you can't go back home again? So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not good enough to hold on. I'm sorry that you have to see me like this. I think I've just been too strong for too long. I know your life will go on. If it's easier, just forget about me. I just need you to know one thing. Mom, this isn't your fault. After you and Dad split, you were all I had. And when I lost you, it was just too much. But I promise it's not you. It was never you. And I know that I'll never get to read this, but I need you to listen. I love you, and I'm sorry. Goodbye.